Yes, Okay, guys, we are pressed with time here, and I know this is the weekend. It begins today, so I'm not going to waste your time here. And I would like to say good evening, welcome to the J. Randy Show. This is where we come to discuss issue with relevant supporting evidence or documentation so that you can empower yourself. I know that the country is challenged intellectually. I know that most of our institutions in the country are so weak, and this is not just the current administration, but this is something that we have inherited from time to time. That is our system and structure in the country. They are all weak. Nevertheless, this current administration is doing everything possible to make sure that some of the archaic, very weak structure system that we think we have, it is doing everything possible to strengthen that. We also have the issue of political messages across the different social platforms where individual will come and will only discuss what they want you to hear, not what they want you to understand. But we do take a different approach to that mindset. Our philosophy here is to empower you not only to understand what is happening or what has happened, but what can you do with the information that we provide on the platform for you to be able to make a future decision based on the current reality. That is what I believe in. I believe if more than 2 or 3 people are informed and educated on the issue, it tends to provide a strength that will expand beyond the category of the 3 peoples. Today, our country is driven through the framework of politics. And because of the love of politics that our people don't understand, they tend to support people who are very dishonest. For me, I believe that many Liberians, let's say some Liberians, especially those on Facebook and belonging to different political party, they would never subscribe to what I believe in. And what I believe in is my policy. And my policy is honesty and transparency. Many Liberians today are into politics, but they don't understand the definition, the catalog, or even the summary of politics. Politics is where we all come to exchange ideas. And those ideas are based on issues that matter the most to our country. And those who we believe in that should be able to do what we think should be done, they are not excusable to be questioned, to be challenged. But this is where many Liberians will not agree with J. Randy, because your political leader is not excluded from being questioned. Your political party is not excluded from being questioned. Why? Because anyone who decides to be a public servant, he wants to get paid through the taxpayer money. He wants that position, and the only way he or she can get that position is through the people voting for he or she. And in order for he or she to be elected, there must be question, not just coming from their party and partisan, but there has to be question that come from people through the length and breadth of that country, including those that are outside. Many political leaders and partisans don't believe in what I just told you. And this is where they struggle with me. Our democracy cannot be customized to a political party liking, where they favor certain things and the other they say no, this is not applicable to us because it doesn't make us to feel comfortable. We are not here to enforce feelings. Your feeling got nothing to do with my constitutional rights. So if I say Joseph Boakai is sick and he need to provide a medical record, and you get very emotional, you are invoking your feelings into my constitutional right. Why? Because Joseph Boakai wants to be a public servant. He wants to get paid through the taxpayer money. I, as a citizen of Liberia, you as a citizen of Liberia, honor our constitution and our democratic principles, and our democratic duty or civic duty is to ask such a question. There is nothing in our constitution that says it is illegal to ask Joseph Boakai to provide a medical record. Why? Because we want to make sure that a leader that will come to take the leadership of our country should not come based on his age, should not come based on how much money he has. He should come by being prepared mentally, physically, and should have a better or some type of good health standing. And those are constitutional requirements based on the freedom of speech that come from every citizen. But we are still in the embryo stage of our politics, because it is mixed up with people who just came into their teenage life, those who have been in politics, in Liberia, and never engaged into politics based on the past history of the leadership of the country. And today we find ourselves in the 21st century. So what I can say in conclusion, why it is true that Liberia is in the 21st century in 2023, honestly speaking, we are still in the 1970s. Let me repeat myself again. Why it is true that Liberia is in the 21st century and we are in the year 2023, our action and our behavior, it clearly shows that we are living in the 1970s, in the era of the 1970s. I will be honest with you guys, because until we learn that constitutional right belongs to everybody and we should ask questions, we are still living in the 1970s. You can doubt it all you want, but I will say that because I have had enough experience with dealing with Liberians. All right, especially in our politics. So thank you guys for joining me here so much. And this is something here. Tonight we're going to prove to you that Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party, they were aware of the drugs in the country. I'm not going to be the one to tell you. I'm going to just provide the facts. And after that, we'll walk away and go home. You walk away knowing that when you look at the other platform and people giving you misinformation, you say, yes, Randy is right. Why Randy is right? Because Randy does research, and he does not only come to tell us, he provides evidence, he gave us leeway of information. So what I'm here to do today is to give you a full-blown outline or timeline as to how drugs enter the country. The drugs did not enter the country during we administration. No. We is just a symptom of the drugs in the country. You know, I often use this thing here. You see the thing right here? I often use this. Let me just take the picture out here. Let me remove the video here. Let me remove the video. You see the thing right here? I often use this as a symbol to represent the root cause. The root cause of drugs coming into Liberia and became so wide started from 1989. The coming of the war in 1989 introduced drugs into our country on a very large scale. The problem there is Eddie Johnson Sirleaf and Joseph Boakai, they did not do anything to put the drugs in the place. Today, the drug is all over. Mr. Weir is just a symptom of the problem. And that's why I'm here to tell you guys. You don't have to take my word for it. I mean, that's what I do. I analyze things and give you guys a result. But what I can tell you, I cannot recommend anybody to join the Unity Party because the Unity Party failed the Liberian people. So with that being said, let's get into the detail of some things here. But before we get into detail, people have been calling me and asking me about Henry Costa. This is what I know about Henry Costa so far. I think I told you guys a few times ago. There are two fundamental things that I would say here based on my logical guess. One is I strongly believe that Mr. Costa, being an international student in America, perhaps he may have been thrown out of status for not being in school at this time. Or B, when Mr. Costa traveled to Sierra Leone, you remember that time he traveled to Sierra Leone? And then when he arrived at the airport, he started to use the phrase land of the free, right? The United States is the land of the free and something else. And he and T.D. Yuri he traveled to Sierra Leone because he said he was afraid of his life. I don't know when Mr. Costa got here, he probably applied for asylum. And maybe his asylum was going through process. But knowing who he is, a guy with a lot more who go around and talk, when you apply for asylum, you cannot go back to that country. So if Mr. Costa did apply for asylum because he came through he traveled through the borderline of Liberia and not using any of our port of entry, and came and said he was afraid of his life, and perhaps the people offer him some type of visa, political asylum, and he went back to the country, that means he lied to the U.S. government. And that could prevent him from coming to this country here. That is just my logical guess on why he hasn't returned to America. But you know why? We Liberians, we believe in some people who are very dishonest. They don't tell the truth. Costa will come on his platform and talk about everyone. But the biggest thing that Henry Costa is afraid of is himself. Henry Costa is afraid of himself. Because a man who tells about everybody, other people, if he is afraid to tell you what is currently happening to himself, how can you trust that man? Don't that behavior remind you of Mr. Stanton Witherspoon? What the Bible say about taking the spot from your eyes before you telling somebody else to take it from their eyes? The Bible, there's a saying that if you're pointing one finger, the other four pointing back to you, right? So these guys will come on different platforms and they will tell you, oh, George Weah is this, McGill is this, Tour is this, the people are like this. But when will they come out to be very honest with you? To say, you know why? I'm wrong, I did something, and here is my story. They will never do it because they are not honest people. Their trade is to continue misleading you, lying to you. But when they get caught, they are not honest enough to come and tell you. And that's what happened to Henry Costa, and that's what happened to Stanton Witherspoon. They are not honest people. And that's why they will keep lying to you guys. So tonight, we are going to be looking at the issue of drugs in the country. And like I said, the Unity Party government of Liberia, with Joseph Boakai as vice president, they were aware of the importation of drugs in our country. Get ready, take your pen, grab your extra phone, and start to do your screenshot for it, because I'm going to provide you with evidence here. But in the meantime, before we do, let us not forget. I don't want us to forget. We have a criminal in our midst as Liberian, and it's nobody else but this guy right here. I don't want you to forget about this guy. This guy impressing your Stanton Witherspoon is a criminal. All right? He's a criminal. He pled guilty to wire fraud. And if you think that he just on the local network, you are wasting your time. He's not only on the local network. This guy is all over the news. He's all over the place. So let me remind you of this guy. So let's get up here.
Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach, Florida, all of which
I want you to listen. This is another thing here again people don't have. So let's listen to this. All right, let's listen to this. Let's listen to this gentleman here so you can get to see what he has to say about Mr. Witherspoon.
of the 7,600 people who allegedly purchased these fake transcripts and diplomas, a third of them actually passed the board exams, which cleared the way for them to qualify to get their license in their specific state and get to work. And when we started to dig a little bit, we started to connect the dots and realized many people behind the scheme have something in common. The diplomas may look legitimate, but they're not.
At about $15,000 per diploma.
I want you guys to pay attention to the video. Pay attention to the video. This is a new video on our platform here, so pay attention to the video. I'm not going to play it twice, but once.
Looking around at $114 million paid for these documents.
And now states are going after hundreds of nurses nationwide, encouraging them to either surrender their licenses or face the possibility of getting them revoked. At the center of this federal investigation are three former nursing schools, Siena College and the Sacred Heart International Institute, both in Broward County, Florida, and the Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach, Florida, all of which have been closed.
Knowing that the candidates would use those false documents to, one, sit for nursing board examinations, secure nursing licenses, and three, ultimately obtain nursing jobs in medical facilities.
We found this YouTube video of Johanna Napoleon from years ago promoting her nursing school. She's Haitian and the mastermind behind Palm Beach School of Nursing, who, according to court paperwork, owned and operated with 4 other subsidiary nursing programs in Florida. Court documents show that she, with help from 14 other staffers and nurse recruiters, created and distributed fake diplomas and transcripts for aspiring RN and LPN candidates. Investigators say they found emails that she sent to other nurse education programs containing blank templates of nurse diplomas and transcripts. Valère Dorisseau is one of them. He was also named in the complaint as owner of the Center.
You must wait for it, or it's coming, or the big one coming. Wait for it. The big one is coming up. Wait for it.
For Advanced Training Studies in New Jersey. He's also from Haiti and is accused of wiring $30,000 to Napoleon in exchange for fake nursing diplomas and transcripts.
Not only is this a public safety issue, but it also tarnishes the reputation of nurses who actually did the hard clinical and coursework required to get licenses and jobs.
Another suspect that caught our eye is businessman Stanton Witherspoon, the CEO of a popular media company in Liberia. He was part owner of Siena College, where court documents reveal that he and his co-conspirators, quote, solicited and recruited people seeking nursing credentials and employment as an RN or LPN, and sent and caused others to send, via wire communications, information used to create false and fraudulent transcripts and diplomas from Siena College.
So there you have it there, folks. There you have it. There you have it. There you have it. That's the man that people following there. He's from Liberia. He's into fake credential. Do you think some of us in this country here to allow such a man to come and destroy our image here? You got your brothers and sisters, some of them, sitting on that criminal platform and thinking that he's somebody better. I don't know about some of you guys, but you guys are on this platform. I want to really admonish you to take that courage to stay away from that guy. He's a complete embarrassment and a disaster. This is a man who people look at in America here. Everywhere you tap his name, you see all the kind of bad image about him. Now they already know that he got business in Liberia now. So the government need to find a way now to shut him down. The government need to find a way to shut him down. Yes, the government need to find a way to shut him down. Because he's not only limited to America here now. And you know, he's limited to every places in the world. He's a disgrace. He is a disgrace. All right, he's a disgrace. Those who are on that platform, I feel sorry for them because to me, every one of those guys you see on that platform, they have no integrity. They got no respect. But these are people who say they want to get into politics. They don't have no moral ethics. They don't have no ethical value. Nothing. Nothing. I read a guy on my YouTube page. He telling me that, oh, whatever Stanton does, it doesn't matter. That his own personal self. That's what he said. Look, I've got to be honest with you guys here. That country we are from called Liberia, you and I will not see a better Liberia anytime soon. It is our children and grandchildren that will see Liberia. And a better Liberia will start by 2065. Because for now, the generation today, they are not helpful to the country. Only by 2065, when most of us are dead and gone, before our children will see and start a better Liberia. Because today Liberians, majority of them prefer to support a criminal than to look for people with ethical value. And the thing that fueling that, or not fueling that, is because of politics interests. So they don't care, and you know. But this country we live in, those who will be in Liberia, those who are in Liberia, before 2065, if you want to enjoy a better life, because Mr. Weah will not give us that better life. Why? Mr. Weah only got 6 years plus another 6 years at 12 years. He cannot change everything. He will put in place the infrastructure. He will put in place the institution. But the mind is something that Mr. Weah cannot change. He cannot change the mind. It's going to be very difficult because the mind should be willing to accept something. But today's generation, their minds are not willing to accept anything but the wrong. So Mr. Weah cannot change the country when it comes to the human element. He will change the country in years he's asking for infrastructurally. But as far as the human intelligence to be able to measure things that are wrong and take the right approach, they're not going to do it. Look at the people that go and sit down on that criminal platform. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they don't like the president. They hate him. So they will go and sell their soul to the devil than giving their soul to the angel or to God. That's who they are. So there's no future that I can see in that country. The president will do his best, but it'll be very, very difficult. Yes. So let's get into what I wanted to say here today. All right. But before we do, I want to introduce this guy to you. This guy that is coming up, he used to be on Radio LRB. Let me post a picture here so you can get to see him.
And
This guy is a very, very terrific guy. His name is Tamajoni. Yes. This guy, his name is Tamajoni. And it was not by mistake today that I got his video. He is a freelance amateur reporter. Yes. But if you were ever opportune to go at the professional level of journalism, I would recommend him to be I would recommend him to be an investigative journalist. I think there where his strength lies. He's a very good journalist, field journalist. We used to summer cast with Tamajoni on Freedom FM uh, before the election of 2017, and he always used to run his show. Let me, now that you see his face, let me just come up. This guy here, every night around this time when he was on Freedom, during the early administration, he would be on the radio at nighttime. Toyo Harris, myself, we would be here. But then we used to listen to the radio through tune in. And this guy here would be calling people across the community, asking them about the safety of their community during the early administration. And he would talk about the issue of drugs. Tamajoni would talk about the issue of drugs in the country during early administration. He would cry in the morning. He would cry at lunchtime. He would cry in the afternoon. He would cry in the evening. And he would cry midnight. That is reminding the early administration about drugs being in the country. But guess what? Joseph Boakai and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they never pay attention to Tamajoni. They never did. So when you hear Boakai talking about the issue of drugs in the country, for those who don't know the history of the early administration, poor performing in other areas, our role here is to help you understand. So we take Tamajoni out here and we bring in the president of Liberia. And then right after the president of Liberia, we'll start to dig into what we have here for you guys. Then after that, we'll look at Tamajoni and then we'll call it a day. All right? So let's bring the president of Liberia up here and hear what he has to say.
Into Liberia? You are not there in the 12 years when they say that the director of NSA collect all the drugs there and kept it. That today they want to say our government brought drugs. They talk about, just the other day, they talk about 100 million worth of drugs that came to Liberia. Liberian people, in a simple English. When that drugs, we heard that it came. The first thing I did as a president of the Republic of Liberia, I made sure that I ascertained, found out if it was true. Yes, it was true. When they confiscated the drugs, and I'm talking it, they said, Megan, talk up, I got to talk it. Because nobody's going to label us that we don't want to bring drugs in the country.
The president is right. This one, he's right on this. You know me, I don't support everything the president says, most especially when he's not right. And this is where even some sedition disagree with me, and I don't get the damn about sedition because I want to make sure that the president words me, he words, his character stand for who he is. I'm not here to praise him through or everything. And I think those who believe in that philosophy, you are giving the opposition more energy, more power by not saying, you know what, I think my president is right today, and I think my president need to do more in this area. The president is right on this one. It is not the administration that brought into drugs in the country. Let's hold the president there and let's go into what the president just said and start to do a historical timeline. Yes, all right, a historical timeline. But I will say this to you here. When the war hit Liberia in 1989, there were many reporters and there were many reports. You recall, because I'm about to refresh your mind. You recall during the 1989 war that lasted for 15 years or 14 years, that people were being drugged, kids were being given drugs, right? Who sponsored the war? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and others, they sponsored the war. After the war, what happened? We started to see young people who were being disarmed getting into drugs. We were not into drugs before we went to war, right? My generation, were we into drugs before we went to war? No, Liberia was not a drug-infested country before we went to war. So how come after the war, the proliferation of drugs started to masquerade around the community? Let's get into some detail here, folks. And again, guys, we're not asking you, we're not forcing you to make any donation here, but whatever you can contribute, please contribute it here. This is an educative platform. This is not a platform because one thing I noticed about my fellow Liberians, you spend your money there on things that are not educating you. And if you look at the reality of it, that's why the country is not educated. You need to redirect your energy by helping people who provide you with a better education on the platform. And this is the only platform that give you the education. All right. So let God speak to your heart. The Cash App is right there. Try to send something for J. Randy. I'm gonna do it because I love my country. That's why I'm doing it. And you gotta be honest to say, you know what? Thank you, brother. I mean, a guy who have been criminally indicted, that got bad record. Your brother and sister then going on the platform and giving them all that money, and he not helping them. Anyway, it's down there for you guys. All right. So I just thought I wanted to share with you guys. All right. So let's go here. But I'm serious, guys. You got to support the platform here. To be honest with you guys. So let's go here and let's look at few things here. All right. So let me see what we need to start. All right. So let us start with the United Nations concern. Yes, let us start with the United Nations concern. Yeah, let us start with the United Nations concern first. Yes, let's start with the United Nations concern. I think this should be the one right here. Let me see what did I say here. Will it allow me to move this? No. All right, so let's start here and let's share the page here for you guys. I want you to keep your eyes. All right, let me try to lower the screen here because you can't see that. Let me come on the page here. So I'm going to hide myself here a little bit here, right, guys? I'm going to hide myself here. So you will not see me because I want you to see the big picture here. So I am going to hide myself, and that way you can see the screen here. All right, so I want you to take a look, and I want you to focus on the year. When you look up there in the very top, I think you will see the mouse moving there. Do you see my mouse moving? Let me see where my mouse is moving. You should be able to see my mouse moving now. Hold on, maybe I'm not on the right page. Let me see it. Am I on the right page yet? All right, hold on. Let me go back to the presenting page, and then that way you'll be able to see it. All right. So let's see. All right, where are we? Right here. Yes. No, the one I went in it. Yes. All right. So right now I'm in the presentation phase of this thing right here now. So if I move my finger today, you see I'm using my finger. You see the screen going down. All right. So I want you to look right here. So follow the mouse here. I'm going to highlight this right here for you to see here. All right. So let's highlight this. See why I'm highlighting it right there? You're going to see the blue. All right. I want you to keep your eye out there. Say page last updated 15:19 GMT, Tuesday, August 18, 2009. All right. What do you see there? It say what? UN fear over Liberia drugs trade. Joseph Boakai and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they were in power in 2009 when the United Nations started to try to raise the issue of alarm. Even Ban Ki-moon, you remember him? Ban Ki-moon said in a report to the United Nations Security Council, Mr. Ban Ki-moon said Liberia continued to make significant progress in consolidating peace after more than a decade of civil war, but that those gains remain fragile. Why, Mr. Ban Ki-moon? The report on the work of the UN peacekeeper in Liberia saw Mr. Ban express concern over the state of rules of law, security, and job creation. All right, that's another thing to talk about again. Because we're not even creating jobs that time. All right, but Ben, he started here that it is critically important that Liberia make every effort to develop a national security. So he was concerned here. So let's read right here, right? Let me highlight this right here. Let's forget about the job business that you'll talk about other one another time. All right, but you see what I highlighted at? Mr. Ben cited the prevalence of rape, armed robbery, mob justice, ethical tension as a particular concern. It is critical that it is critically important that Liberia make every effort to develop a national security institute that are independent and independently operated, he said. So He continued to move down here, all right? So what did he say here? In reference to claim by ruling military authority in Guinea, the president of Liberia armed combatant with uncertain intention in neighboring country. So he is concerned about what? Look right here, look right underneath him right here. I'm gonna highlight it right here. You see that what did he say here? I am particularly concerned that drug trafficking could trigger further regional what? What the word? Disability. Yeah. No, destabilization. My bad. Destabilization. Let me just highlight it here. So Ban Ki-moon was very concerned about the destabilization if we had drugs in the country. Are you following that, folks? So in 2008, the United Nations became very concerned about drugs in Liberia. The question here is, what did Ellen and Joe Boakai, what did the administration do? Let's stop the share and go to another one. Let's stop the share and go to another one again. All right, so let's go back again. You already got the concern that the UN were very, very concerned about the drugs in the country. Now, let's go to another report again. All right, let's go to another report. This time around, we are going to another BBC story again. Yes, we are going to another BBC story. Let's share that one again. All right, let's share that one. It should be coming up. There you go. In that one, what do you see there again? The same February. What happened here? Liberia in a record cocaine seizure. All right? You follow me on that? Everything was happening around 2008. But how did it start? Let's go. Let's stop the page here. Let me take you guys to one research paper. Yes. Let's go to one research paper here. And this is where it all going to make sense for you now. Let's go to one research paper here. All right. This research paper is very, very important here. This one here. Yes. I love this one. This one is very, very important. Let's go to the research paper here. You're going to see it coming up very soon. This is the research paper. It's coming up very soon here. All right. So I'm in the presenting mode right now. So let's go down here. All right. Let's go down here. Let's go down here. Let's scroll down here. You should be able to scroll down here with me, right? All right. So this research paper is called Drug Use in Post-Conflict Liberia. The Voices of Drug Users in Monrovia. Tomako Katana and Taika Ochi, something like that. These two individuals did a very good research on Liberia. All right? They started by saying through the introduction here that Liberia underwent a war between 1989 to 2003. All right? And they started a lot of things here. All right? Now, I want to draw your attention to somewhere very important. Let us start right here where I'm going to highlight right here. All right? Right down here. You see the highlight? I'm going to unhighlight it. This is where the paper detail. It said this, and I'm going to highlight this so you can catch me there. All right? This. It said this paper describes the situation of drug use in post-conflict Liberia in general, in Monrovia drugs community in particular. Now, this paper, all right, this document was written, let's go all the way down so you can see when the document was written here. This document was written in 2000 and I believe 2016. Yeah, let me see. I try to find the date here. It was written, I believe, in 2016. We found that, but it gave you a history. So let's continue here. All right. I will give you the information after we're done with this document here. So it said This paper described the situation of drug use in post-conflict Liberia, in Monrovia drug communities in particular. It also examined drug user background, actual situation experiences, and human relations, as well as challenges which they face in order to quit drugs based on the interview survey conducted by the authority in the two drug community in Monrovia. I know what they call Blaga and I'm aware of Logan Town. Now, let's go down so that you can see how the research came about. The paper here, and I'm not going to read everything for you guys, but after the war, all right, and you see all the different titles of people here who did the research here. These are people from different universities around the world. They went and did the research. So down here is talk about the two towns here. It says, according to the survey report published in 2008, very good. This is what I was looking for here. The survey was done in 2007 and it was published in 2008. The published report said that in Monrovia there were at least 23 confirmed drug community. The report was published, given to Ellen, given to Boakai, the Senate, and whoever. Follow this thing I'm telling you and you get it right. Where ghettos were clustered together. This guy they call Harris, the one who made that report. Now, let's go to the figure here. All right, figure 1 show location of main drug communities in downtown Monrovia area as of 2008. Mr. Weah was not president at that time. All right, so let's go to the figure. That is the map so you can see. And there it is right here. Let me reduce the size here, folks. These are things you need to be helping J. Rennie and giving him little contribution, but you don't want to do it. And I feel sorry for y'all. So my good people out there, please don't forget to send us your little contribution. The reason these guys are making ass out of your brothers and sisters, they're on a different platform because they know that they can see the asses in their faces. That's why they're making fun. So in 2008, you see the map here. This is the entire map of Monrovia County here. So what the people did, the researchers left from their country and went to Liberia, and they did a survey across every part of Monrovia. You see right here to the far right, look where it says downtown. Downtown, what you got there? Number 1, West Point, Waterside, 99 Steps, Carey Street. I don't know what they call, I know Blabba, I know the other place there. Randall Street, PHP. Those are the downtown area where the drugs were mainly clustered, as they use that word. Then you come down, let's put the thing up here. You come in the single area, Zinc Camp, RCA Camp, Fiamma, New Matali, Old Matali. When was this thing when was this established? In 2008. You follow me on that? Now, let's leave the report here. What have you learned so far? Let's stop the share here. What have you learned so far? You learned that in post-war Liberia, many of the drugs-infected community came about because the kids and the people who fought the war, they were drugged. So when they returned, they decided to establish themselves between the downtown communities and the Cinco Bell. And there were more and more drugs were being used. When that report came out in 2008, Ellen Johnson said and Boakai, they were in leadership. The question is, what did they do? There is something that the lawmaker did that make very good sense. Let's hear what the lawmaker then did here. All right? Let's go to the lawmaker then here. Let's go to the lawmaker here. All right? Let's share the screen here and go to the lawmaker then. And let's hear what the lawmaker then said. All right? Yes, I want you to hear what the lawmaker then said. But before we go to the lawmaker then, I want to show you one more thing again. Don't get bored with me. All right? I want to show, let's go to the lawmaker then first. All right? Let us go to the lawmaker then first. So, lawmaker, help our people understand something here. So in 2000, in fact, let me just send it to you, to myself, so you can get to see it. All right, I'm going to send it to myself by way of email. In fact, it's already here. Let me try to open it here so you can see it. All right, let me try to open it here so you can see it. We are trying to let you know that what the president said is true. And like I said, when the president do the right thing, I will not hesitate but to provide the evidence. So let's come back here and see what we have here. All right, let's see here. So, okay, all my sent emails. Okay, let's see this one right here. Is this the one right here? No, that's not the one here. I have the one already, J. Randy. Let's go back there again. Let's go for the next one. All right, let's go back for the next one. All right, so it's here, J. Randy. Let's see what about this one right here. All right, this is it right here, right, Randy? Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. All right, let me share my screen with you guys here. So let's go back to sharing the screen here. All right, the thing you're about to listen to, I'm going to play it for you. When you see it, in fact, when you're looking at it, I will start playing it here. So let's share the screen here. All right, I'm going to share the screen. And this is where we are. Where is it? All right, right here. We got it. I want you to take a look at that. You see that? Let me see whether when I click it, it will play. So that way you can hear it. Let's see it. I'm going to click it to hear where it will play. Let me put my phone on speaker. Let me put my speaker on my phone here. All right, let me see it.
In the fight against illegal drugs, Liberian lawmakers have toughened criminal penalties for illegal narcotics dealers. Those suspects are no longer eligible for bail during their trial. And
all right, so
in the fight against
let me pay attention. What do you see here? When the report came out in 2008, the lawmaker them, they came together. CDC lawmaker then came together in October on October 13 or 2009. Listen to what the lawmaker then did. Because in order for illegal activities to be enforced, there must be a law, right? So the report then came out. The lawmaker then, mainly sedition lawmaker, they pressurized the Ellen and the Boakai administration. Because remember, Boakai was head of the Senate. All right, president of the Senate. He presided out twice a week. All right. And then Ellen was president with all her ministers then are supposed to enforce. So what did the lawmaker do? They one who got to give it to the lawmaker then. Got to get a hand clap. Let's listen to what the lawmaker then did.
Illegal drugs, Liberian lawmakers have toughened criminal penalties for illegal narcotics dealers. Those suspects are no longer eligible for bail during their trial, and law enforcement officials have new powers to seize their assets. But the biggest change is the length of time they face in jail. Before last month's tougher sentencing guidelines, drug dealers usually received between 5 and 10 years in prison. James Jella is executive director of Liberia's Drug Enforcement Agency. He says the tougher sentences are an important tool in the fight against illegal drugs.
If you are arrested and sent to court and convicted, you could be...
I want you to remember, this guy that talking, that was 2009. I don't know where you got where 2009. But this guy was in the Ellen and Boakai administration. So just so you know. All right, so let me progress.
Sentenced to jail for not less than 25 years and not more than 60 years.
Jella says Liberian DEA agents uprooted more than 300,000 cannabis plants on 15 farms in Bong County and more than 120,000 plants in Nimba County. Enforcing the law is not always easy in a country where there are few jobs and marijuana growers pay well.
You hear that? What did you just hear? Why it is true that Ban Ki-moon and the researchers came and helped Liberia and identify all the drug communities. What did you hear from the reporter? It is very difficult to curb the issue of drug in the country. The question here is, they said drug, if you are accused, you should be in jail for 20 to 60 years. How come Boakai and Ellen did not enforce that law? How come? Let me progress. Listen here more.
DEA trying to uproot the marijuana farms. And as a result, they were attacked by the town people. They put a blockade, they attacked them. Some, shot, a single barrel gun in the air. People came with machete and sticks, and they started beating up the DEA men. The guys,
You hear that? They started beating on the DEA men that were during Joseph Boakai then time. So when Joseph Boakai talk about drug in the country, why can't he talk about how the people were challenging the drug enforcement official and what did they do? Guys, the day I leave Facebook, you're on your own.
have to jump in the bush.
Like efforts to fight illegal drug trafficking everywhere, reducing demand is part of the challenge. This 26-year-old drug dealer's been arrested several times and says he was
Listen to the 26-year-old guy, what he coming to say. Listen to him. Listen to this guy.
deported from the United States for dealing drugs. But he says drugs are part of his life, regardless of what the government in Monrovia might do.
I sell it to foreigners. I also sell it to Liberians. And this is a money-making business. I don't care how much the government can do. This is our own business. This is how we survive. So we can't just do without drugs.
The
You hear that? That was during early then time, oh. The guy was openly confessing what make him to survive. A guy who was deported from America. He telling VOA that there will be nothing that the Ellen and Boakai government will do as long as he is alive. He will continue to sell drugs. That made progress here.
trauma of a long civil war is also part of the fight against illegal drug use in Liberia. This 29-year-old former rebel has gone through the government's demobilization program, but has not lost the drug habit he acquired during the fight.
I used to take in drugs while being a soldier on the front line. It makes me very brave to shoot and kill my enemies. So I took in drugs for more than 5 years during the war in Liberia. So it is used to my system. I cannot just live without it.
Okay. So these are the evidence that we're providing to you guys here. The question here is, international researcher, Liberia had more support during the early and Boakai time. What did they do to rehabilitate these people? Now you see what I'm telling you, that the issue of drug, all right, was introduced in Liberia when Ellen and Boakai, they were leaders and they were aware. The question is, they did not, why they didn't do anything? The answer is they didn't care because it was not their children.
Unemployed former combatants are thought to be closely involved in Liberia's illegal drug trade, both the domestic production of marijuana and the importation of cocaine and heroin. DEA Director Jella says West African drug traffickers are bringing narcotics into Liberia every way they can, by air, by sea, and by land.
These Nigerians are also coming by land, coming to Liberia, bringing in heroin and cocaine. They come through Sierra Leone and Guinea, and then from there, they take a vehicle to come to Liberia.
Jella says Liberian efforts to fight the illegal drug trade are hampered by a shortage of vehicles, computers, radios, and forensic laboratory equipment.
Let me hold you there. Did you just listen to what the DEA director said during the time with Ellen? There were no cars, no computer, no manpower, nothing. So what did Joe Boakai and Ellen do? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they know it was not their children. In fact, they gave the people then the reason to take drugs because they wanted to get rid of dope. So why do they care? So Mr. Weir, remember that thing I showed you guys about the root cause, the problem, and the symptom? The root cause of drug coming in the country is due to Ellen and others that supported the war. The war that came to the country is the root cause that brought in the drugs. The problem there is the people have drug-infected communities now, and Ellen and Boakai did nothing for 12 years. And do you think that Mr. Weir, just 5.5 years, should be able to curb this thing? Guys, our country will not go anywhere anytime soon because majority of your brothers and sisters that are on Facebook, they are listening to the wrong platform. But thank God that some of you guys are here to make yourself very aware when it comes to the issue of drug. you will know exactly how it started because it is coming from me, and you're seeing it here live with every information that I have at my disposal. Let's conclude this and go to another one.
The Economic Community of West African States is working to better equip national drug enforcement agencies and harmonize regional criminal penalties against narcotics at a time when Latin American drug gangs are using the region as a transit point for cocaine shipments to Europe. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Dakar.
All right, so let's stop the share there. Let's stop the share and come right back here again. Let's start the share here. When the United Nations discovered that there were drugs in the country, they became very concerned. They had something they call the UNOD, the United Nations Office for Drugs. They came up with another report. But here's another report that also came out too, from nobody else but from our own partner in progress. Yes, our own partner in progress. All right, so let's go to our partner in progress, and it's nobody else. Who you think that partner in progress will be? Anybody? Somebody? Who is our partner in progress? You should know them now. Anyway, let's get to our partner in progress. Nobody else but our partner in progress. There you go. The U.S. Department of State, our partner in progress. They came up with a report here in 2015 because Edison did not do anything after the report then came up. All right? They didn't do anything after the report came up. So information was released online. All right? Here the information report released here. You see here, I'm highlighting it all the way up here. You see where it says archive content? Look all the way up there. Archive content. What did it say? It says what? January 2009 to January 2017. That's how the people came up with the story. And they sent a report to Ellen. The whole report is here. You see that it says on Liberia? Let me bring you down to something down here. All right? Down here, I want us to look at this area here. The people again came to Boakai and Ellen. Right here. Liberia has now established Nigerian criminal network operating within the country, some of which are involved in narcotics, trafficking. Local authority are aware of the threat. Now you see where my title comes from now. When I say Joseph Boakai and Ellen were aware, this is where my topic came from. Local authority are aware of the threat and are working with the United States to prevent illicit criminal network from gaining a strong foothold in the country. But that did not realize. Several local law enforcement agencies work in concern to fight narcotic trafficking in Liberia, including the Liberia National Police, the Coast Guard, the National Security Agency, Liberia Drug Enforcement, yada, yada, yada. Now, it became a regional concern, and that's what the second paragraph is going to say. In 2010, Liberia signed the West Africa Coast Initiative, WAC, Freetown Commitment, Freetown Commitment, a UN initiative to address the growing problem of illicit drug trafficking, organized crime, drug abuse throughout the sub-region. So you see, the thing is a regional problem, people. It is a regional problem. All right? Now, what was that agreement all about? A cornerstone of the WAC was the establishment of a transnational crime unit in post-conflict state. And which country were considered a post-conflict state? To prevent, you know how they used to have transatlantic slave? Now they just term it a transnational crime unit in post-conflict. Did Ellen establish any transnational crime unit? No, Ellen did not establish nothing. But they were pushing for that. And what are the countries that are supposed to be part of that? TCU, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Bissau, and Sierra Leone. I think it should have been Guinea. So the U.S. State Department made a mistake over there. I believe so. Because I think they're looking at all the country. But I stand to be corrected, but I think it should be Guinea, not Guinea-Bissau. All right? With the intent of preventing organized crime network from working with weapon dealer. Liberia Nursing TCU. That's the TCU. Did you hear about the TCU in Liberia earlier there? Absolutely not, because you heard that the DEA said we don't have enough logistics. All right? So the TCU with the U.S. funded, so they gave them money here. The TCU with U.S. funded UN Office on Drug and Crime, that is the UNODC assistant. So they gave Ellen them money. Is now running operation including against trafficking of narcotics and wildlife, counterfeit money, and drug dealers. The United States also funds the UNODC assistant to the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency to build capacity. Will that capacity ever built? Will that capacity ever built? I doubt it will ever build. So these are all the things that here on Liberia, my brother. You can try and read here, all right? I don't have the energy to read here because most of you guys are doing extremely well to help us here. What does it say about corruption? Let's go to corruption small and read. I'm interested in corruption here. All right, let's go to corruption here. Because it's still in Boakai administration. So let's read on corruption. The government of Liberia does not encourage or facilitate the production or distribution of illicit drugs, nor the laundering of proceeds from illegal drugs transactions as a matter of policy. In 2013, upon notification that a politically appointed senior government official was engaged in such activity, the Ministry of Justice immediately met with the president, that was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to have the individual removed from his position. Please forgive me, boy. Please forgive me. Let me stop being sharing, my bigger. Let me stop being sharing. Yeah. See, I don't hate the president. If you ever lose the election, if you lose the election, you got one person to blame, and that person will be yourself. That person will be yourself. If I take my time here and expose these things, and yet and still you come here, you don't share the plan, you don't share the thing there, get what's going to be happening? Your president will be talking not the president there.
The security got the drugs. They want to keep it for 24 hours to get to me. And luckily for me, I was on the phone with the defense minister.
Let's go by again. The part we just read, about the person that's supposed to get arrested. Listen to the president.
Well, you are not there in the 12 years when they say that the director of NSA collect all the drugs there and kept it.
You think the president wrote? The president Allah ain't just read it, I just told you. You just read what I just told you, right? So that's what the president is talking about. That is what the president is talking about. That's what the president is talking about. Joe, we are exposing all the men secret. Anyway, let's listen to Joe. We are supposed to drink some water here.
That today they want to say our government brought drugs. They talk about, just the other day, they talk about 100 million worth of drugs that came to Liberia. Liberian people in a simple English. When that drugs, we heard that it came. The first thing I did as a president of the Republic of Liberia, I made sure that I ascertained, found out if it was true. Yes, it was true. When they confiscated the drugs, and I'm talking it, They said, Megan, talk up, I got to talk this. Because nobody's going to label us that we don't want to bring drugs in the country. The security got the drugs. They want to keep it for 24 hours to get to me. And luckily for me, I was on the phone with the defense minister. And I said to him, if you get a drug, you'll go burn it the next day. I involved the American embassy and all our international partners to take.
Why you think the president involved the American embassy? And you saw the transnational agreement, the TCU, the UF funding, and you saw the State Department. The president is going by those recommendations. And when he talk about international partner, he's looking at all the other organizations. When Boakai come to talk about drug, he can tell you what he and Ellen did. With all the funding they got, he can tell you. But the president is doing everything to explain. This is where and when I say when the president does the right thing, I will come here. So Mr. Weah is right. Everything Mr. Weah is saying, all I'm doing here is I provided you guys with the documentation. I provided you guys with the documentation, the research, the interview, the U.S. government, the international community, the West African countries that's supposed to build regional connection. Everything the president is saying is all true. It's just that there are not people that's supposed to have the data to show to the Liberian people. They got to run the BB platform. They just think they are expert in themselves. They come, they sit down here. No, when you're dealing with certain people, especially Liberian people, you got to show them the proof. Because if you talk, they're not going to believe you. They say it's coming from your mouth. But what you just saw here today, what you listened to here today, what's going to convince you now? If somebody asks you about drugs, you say, hey, first of all, the 14-year Civil War that was fought, do you know that there were children in the war that used drugs? Yes. There were people who used drugs. Now, when they took the arm from them, they didn't take the behavior from them. Some of them guys used to drug, and they started taking drugs. And when they called them Zogo, they formed community from downtown Monrovia to the Single Bell. And then what started happening? People started bringing drugs from Nigeria and started coming into the country. And people are bringing drugs from South America because Liberia is the pathway through Africa to go to Europe. That's how come they started coming. The United Nations spotted that. Ben Ki-moon blew alarm on it. The people came, they did the research. The ECOWAS, the U.S. State Department, they all came and formed a different unit. The WASI unit, they had an agreement. The West African country against drugs. They put our institution together. They also had the TCU, transnational something. They put it together. What did Ellen do to make it better? Nothing they did. Now the symptom is all in the country now. Then they want to say that Josh Weah doing it. When Josh Weah is trying to fight everything. Anytime you look online, you see Josh Weah trying to what? Arrest drug issue. Until you get to understand the root cause of these things. That's why I say the current generation, because of politics, they will destroy the country. They will destroy the country. A guy that stand down with his book and sit down well and don't do the research, but they want to say, oh, drug in the country, and just bamboozling the minds of the other people who are there because they're not even interested in doing any research. Where do we go, folks? So, guys, let us stop it here today. Let us stop it here, all right? Let us stop it here. We'll be back here tomorrow in the morning, and then we'll continue on with this here. If you need any of those documentation, just send me your cash app and request for it. Then, of course, I will be able. But just from what we discussed today, I can say the Unity Party government of Liberia was aware of the importation of illegal drugs while Joe Boakai served as vice president. Our cash app is right down there. Yes. That is why we stand behind this post. But guess what? When we post the thing tomorrow, or tonight, by the time they bring like, bro, you go read it again, they'll start cussing me. Look at all those stupid one who are like, you know what you talking about. Illiteracy is a serious problem to our democracy. Let me tell you guys now. Illiteracy is a serious problem to our democracy. It's just that you're walking on a bridge that got no guardrail. You have to open your hand like this to walk. Because when you make any mistake, you fall, you're going right in the river. That is underneath that bridge or that the bridge is above. That's how illiteracy is in our country. with the few of you guys who watch the thing today, you see how you have changed yourself now when it comes to how the drugs proliferated in our country, how the drug came into our country, and which community. Now, when you look at that old data from 2008, and you know downtown Monrovia and the Single Bell, you will imagine that the drug will stay over there. But now, if the drug had taken control of other places in the country now, that means that Elena did not do anything to contain that area and say, this is where they are. Let us try to go in there and fetch everything out. They didn't do that. Joe Boakai did not do that. And today now you find them all in the street, say they're pretending that they are zombie drug dealer, drug taker them. They're walking like this. Joe Boakai knew that drug were in the country, folks. They knew that. Yes. All right. The United Party government of Liberia, with Joe Boakai as vice president, was aware of the importation of illegal drugs in the country. We can say this thing right underneath here because you saw all the documentation. So I'd like to say thank you to you guys. Thank you guys very much. All right. Have yourself a pleasant night. This is what J. Randy do. We were educated in this country to research and provide empirical data and truth, and there's nothing. You have seen the evidence. It's all out there. I didn't read it. All I did was research it and give it to you. So share the video with your friends. Let them at least be able to take all the few time we spend here and learn for themselves, so that way they cannot be told what to do. Your right as a citizen is to understand. Not in every instance you should be told. On the platform, we want people to be leaders here. Leaders should be the one that will teach other people who need to know something and understand it. Until then, God bless you guys. I'm out of here. Don't forget to send me your cash app. Bye. See you.